Hello, today I'm going to show you how to get started with Godot and Arcanepad. So I'm here on arcanepad.com. I'm going to go to the documentation, clicking on Start Developing. Now I'm on the Arcane docs. Here let's go to the guide and here Godot 3, getting started. So we have here a repo, a starter repo. That is actually where the SDK is also. So we are going to download this and see how everything is working. But basically what we are going to do is like what we are doing on this video. So you can see we're using our phones as um, pointers, like for guns, for example, or whatever game. And also we are rotating all these meshes. So we are going to do that and more. So yeah, let's continue. I'm going to go to the Arcanepad Godot SDK GitHub repository. Here, let's download the zip. I'm just going to open this, copy and paste somewhere here. And basically, if you just wanted to create a project from zero without using the template, you will just copy the Arcane library. With this folder, this is the SDK, the Arcane library. The rest is just the template project. Also, you will need to autoload the Arcane. That's autoload is like a mechanism of Godot 3 to like make a singleton, make this class Arcane accessible globally. So you will need those two things. But on this starter template, it's already done. So we're just going to open the project, and before going to see the folders and how everything is working, I'm just going to play. And well, it says client type external, device type view. It's trying to connect to the server, but it's not being able because we need to open the Arcanepad application. Now with the Arcanepad application open, if we press F5 and run the scene, now it gets the client initialized, and we get an ID and a device ID and a device type that is of type view. Great. So we have a few scenes. We have the main scene, the path scene, and the view scene. These are the three most important scenes. Then inside the view, well, we have the player and other stuff, but these are the most important. So the main scene is just a scene that says loading. You can change all these, of course, however you prefer, but this scene is just going to load the proper scene. So if the path scene exists and the view scene doesn't exist, we load the path scene, else we load the view scene. As I said, this is a arbitrary logic I made up, so you can do it however you want, but in this way we load the viewer. So I'm going to load this application 1 second to show you, so in order to explain myself better. So this is the exported game. So I'm going to open now on my phone, and as you can see, we have the phone. These are two applications. It's the same application but exported differently. So one in the phone we export the path scene, and in the view we export the view scene, and always the minus scene. So yeah, I'm going to show you a little bit more. Here we have the calibrate button. As you can see, it's this calibrated right now, so we press calibrate quaternion and it got calibrated. Now it follows my phone properly. And also we have the calibrate top left and calibrate bottom right of the screen. So we have to point our top left and our top right, bottom right of the screen in order to to calibrate the pointer. Now it follows my phone perfectly. You may ask, why is this? Why do you need to point the top left and the bottom right of the screen? Well, this is to map the screen. We need to get the where it is and the dimensions. So with the top left and the bottom right, we can predict where the phone is pointing. So yeah, this is the pad scene, the one of the phone, and the view scene is the one on the screen on the PC. And we also can support multiple pointers. As you can see, this is calibrated out as well. I need to calibrate it. Oh, now it works fine. So, but this is the exported final product. We want to be able to develop in order to iterate fast and not having to export it. So how are we going to do this? So we go to project, export, we add HTML5, and here we go to resources, and we are going to export selected resources. So which resources we want on the web export? We want the Arcane library, we want the scenes, the shared folder, and these two as well. The icon I'm using this is the Godot icon, so we need it. And on the scenes, we don't want the view scene because we are going to export the pad right now. So just remove the view scene and just use the pad scene. Leave it like this, and now we don't even need to export. We just close and we press here on the button to run exported HTML in a system's default browser. So now with this, it is going to open a new tab with this, but we don't care about this tab. We can close it. We just copy the URL and close it. Now we go to Arcanepad and paste on the path this URL. And now we have our gamepad scene loaded on our phones, as you can see. It's as simple as that. So now on the Godot scene, we just press play and it's going to load the view. And there you have it. You have the view and the gamepads working on your Godot environment. So let's explain a little bit how is this working, the rotations, the pointer, and also the attack button. We have an attack button that is sending an event attack, as you can see, and it is not only sending an event to the view, but is firing back to the player. So my phone is vibrating. When I attack, I send an event, and then I receive an event from the view that says take damage and makes the phone vibrate. So let's see how all this is done. We can just press pause right now in order to don't waste battery on our phones. And well, you don't need to press pause. You can just block the screen just like I did. So yeah, let's go to the main scene. So the main scene, as we were explaining, is just loading the path scene first if the view scene doesn't exist. If the path scene exists and the view scene doesn't, as we did export the path scene without the view, it's going to load the path scene. But if not, by default it's going to load the view scene like in the editor. So this is a mechanism I made up. As I'm saying, you can use any other, but this works fine. Here we have the go to path scene and go to view scene logic. It's pretty simple, and yeah, that's the main scene. There is nothing else here. It's pretty simple. So now let's go to the view scene and see what's going on here on the view scene. So we on ready, we just inits our view, and in the init view we call arcane.init. Arcane.init is the main thing we need to call to initialize our client, our view client. Then we listen when the client is initialized. So we connect to this signal, arcane client initialize, and we call the function on arcane client initialize. This function then is going to create a player for each gamepad. And these gamepads on the initial state are the gamepads that were connected before the view. So in the initial state of the view, you have an array of gamepads, of paths that existed before the view. So we create them. But also there are going to be gamepads that are going to get connected after the view gets created. So we should handle them, and also when they disconnect. So here on iframe path connect, that is when the path gets connected, we call the, well, we check if the player exists. So we have created this player with this gamepad. Then we just return, and if player exists, return, and if not, then we create the player. We need to initialize the path in this case manually. That is just with the event information. So yeah, and then on path disconnect, we just destroy the player. You can do whatever you want. You could just pause the game or notify the players that want disconnected. You can do anything. So this is the views. Pretty simple as well, as you can see. Now let's go to the player. The player is inside the view scene, and it's basically this mesh, this 3D mesh, and this pointer is our player. So on the view, when we create the player, let's see, we create the player, and then we pass the path as a parameter on the, we call the initialize function of the new player. So what is this initialize function doing with the path? It's assigning the path to a local variable, and then it prints the username. We can access username and user color. The user color is the hexadecimal without the hash at the beginning, so it's like 6 letters or numbers basically. If you want to use it, you should add the hash at the beginning. So we could do player dot mesh dot color, or whatever it is done, equals to this, like plus path dot user dot color, something like that. But well, not exactly, but you get the idea. So listen with this when this gamepad connects. Here we are listening to the same function we were doing on the view. If our gamepad got disconnected, then we could listen when it gets connected. But here we are not doing anything. We are just logging that the gamepad got disconnected and reconnected. This is like boilerplate. You could remove these lines. It's just for the example. Ask for device rotation and pointer. So here, this is important. Start get quaternion. We are requesting to start getting a stream of data of the, well, it's not a stream, it's just a bunch of events, like every second, of the quaternion, of the rotation, and also of the pointer. And then we listen for those events on connect get quaternion, on get quaternion, connect get pointer, on get pointer. And we handle them here. For example, on get quaternion, we check that the quaternion is not null. If not, we return. And then we just set the path quaternion x, y, z, and w to the values of the event, of the quaternion event. And this path quaternion, let's see what it's doing. This is a quaternion, and this just makes it rotate somehow. Oh, because on the process, on this method that updates our object, we say mesh child.transform.basis to the path quaternion. So this is how we make our player rotate. And then on get pointer, we also check if it is null, we return. If not, we get the screen size, and we we sort of normalize our x and y values. X and y of the event pointer are a value from 0 to 100. That means percentage of the screen where the player is pointing with their phones. So 0 will be the top left, 100 will be the bottom right. It can go beyond that, like 150 will be like it is pointing outside the screen, or minus 50 will be also outside the screen on the top left. So yeah, we divide that for 100 and then multiply for the viewport size x or y respectively, and with this we can set to the position of our pointer. Our pointer is the Godot icon that we have on the player. Let's see here, it's the third child of our player. And then we pass to these are built-in events that our path object has, like path.connect get quaternion, get pointer. But now we can add custom events. For example, attack. We say we need to add the signal attack first. This is only once. And we now say connect to the attack event and call the attack function. So when our player receives an attack event, it's going to write to the screen path user attacked, print also the event, and then this is interesting, it's going to emit a custom event to the gamepad as well. Take damage. This doesn't make any sense because the gamepad is the one that is attacking and is also taking damage, but it's just for simplicity. I just wanted to keep it simple. Like, it will be different. It will be like when you attack someone, the other guy takes damage and the other gamepad vibrates. But for that I will need to check collisions or damage or whatever. So I just keep it simple. So when you attack, you just receive damage. It's in order to explain this. So now we received this custom event by connecting to the attack, and we are sending a custom event by emitting these events.takeDamage.new. And let's go to the events folder file. It's on share. So here we have the attack event and the take damage event. Both are inheriting from arcane base event. The attack event is just an event empty that with the name attack. This name is sent to the parent. Like the arcane base only has a name, so that's important. And the take damage has a name, but also has a damage. So we create this variable and we pass it to the constructor. And yes, now we are sending from the player this take damage of 3. And let's see how the gamepad is sending the attack and how it is receiving the damage. And also the pointer, how it's calibrating the pointer and the quaternion and all that stuff. So let's go to the path scene. This is the gamepad scene. We have these buttons: the attack, calibrate quaternion, calibrate pointer, top left and bottom right. So let's go to the script, and the path script is doing the same as the view. First, it's initializing our client. This is a gamepad client instead of a view. It's a path device type. And also I set the path orientation to portrait. You can use landscape or portrait. If you control click here on init, you're going to see the options, the default options. Landscape, hide mouse, you can hide it or show it. By default it hides it, and the device type that can be view or pad. So in this case we are using portrait and we are using the device type pad. Listen when this client is initialized. This is the same as in the view. On client initialize, we don't care about the initial state or the other gamepads in this case. We are just going to add a signal, take damage, and on take damage we make the gamepad vibrate 200 milliseconds for some reason, and we write to the screen we take end damage, and we say how much damage. And also we have the attack press button. We emit to the views an event, arcane.message.emit to views events.attack event.new. So this is pretty much it. We also have the on press calibrate quaternion, Arcanepad calibrate quaternion, on press calibrate pointer true or false. True is for top left and false is for bottom right. So we just cover everything basically, and you need to get started with the game. You now know how to send a custom event from the gamepad to the view, like here attack, how to listen to an event from the view, how to send an event to the pad from the view, and how to listen from events from the pad. So the last thing, so yeah, here we already run it. I'm just going to run it again just to make clear this part. Let's play again. Remember, if you make any change on your gamepad logic, you're going to need to rerun the HTML running browser again. Okay, this never happens. Okay, it's kinda crashing. This only happens when you're making a video. Yeah, I'm just gonna make it crash fast. Okay, close program. Yes, let's go. And let's open it again. And well, as I was saying, you need to, every time you change the gamepad logic, you need to run here again our HTML code, and yes, now we can play. As you can see, the gamepads rotate because we set to portrait. If we set to landscape, they wouldn't rotate, they will look like this. It will be like this. So yeah, now we can just play here as well. If you wanted to make some fast changes or debug or anything on the gamepad, you can go to the pad scene and press F6 and run the pad scene directly on your editor. You could also run the view scene here on Godot. If we you will need to export the whole the view. If you export the view scene, then you will be able to put the pads here on the gamepad and play, and you will see here when you play the view scene. Now we see the pad scene because I haven't exported the view scene, but if you export the view scene, you will see it. But yeah, those are some details. The last thing now I want to show you is how to export. Okay, here we have messed things a little bit. How to export to Arcanepad, to have our game here on the main screen and to share with anyone. So we are going to go to the export, and here we are going to say Let's check that everything is okay. Okay, fine. If you miss something, you're going to have problems. It's always, this is really bad. Even if you say, like here, export selected scenes and dependencies, no, that doesn't work properly. It doesn't export all dependencies and it just breaks. So you have to be sure to export the default M3s and anything that you are using. Otherwise, you can just export the whole project, but that's pretty inefficient in order to load the gamepads on your phone, because you will be loading the whole game. So yeah, we are going to export the gamepad scene first with the main, of course. Export project. So let's go to we're going to create a folder, exports folder, and inside this folder, pad. And this has to be called index.html. And now we are going to export our view scene. We remove the pad scene because we don't care, and we export our view scene. And we go on top of this, on the exports, here we just save it. Perfect. So now I'm going to go to my exports, open in File Manager. Here we have our view, and here we have our pad. Now we are going to go to Arcanepad, add to library, new folder, my game, for example. And we are going to add a folder called app, and here we paste everything. Apart from that, we need to create an arcane meta object, new text document, arcane meta.json, and we are going to edit this file, and we set the name to my game, my Godot game, or whatever name you want to give it. It's important that the folder don't has any spaces, any white spaces on. Sorry, I went to other place. My game folder cannot have any white spaces at the moment, or will break. So now we go to our main on Arcanepad and refresh library. And as you can see, we have here my Godot game. And it just loaded. The other gamepad is still loading. Okay, now has loaded. So perfect, we have it working. You can see here the player attacking, now the other player. And with the X we can exit the game. So yeah, I think we cover all the basics. There are a few more things I'm going to be adding in the future. Let's see if I can cover them now. Like, for example, if you wanted to emit instead of emitting an event to all the views, just to a gamepad or to someone else, you will do arcane.message.emit, and you put your events and to an array of IDs of the clients you want to send this event. So you can send an event from a gamepad to another gamepad, for example. You can do this also on the view. And also you can say emit to pads. If you want to send a message to all the gamepads, you say emit to pads. And the pad object is the same on the pad and on the view. So it's the same. You can make the pad vibrate here or in the view, from the pad or from the view. Like here on the view, we could say on the player, when we attack, pad.vibrate or pad.calibrate or whatever. But it doesn't make a lot of sense. But in the case we got attacks, it makes sense to make the pad vibrate from the view, because the view is the logic the place where all the logic happens, so you can make the path vibrate. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please join our Discord channel. I'll be happy to help you. And here is the code snippets on the documentation. They are not very well linted because there is not support for GDScript, so I'm falling back to PHP highlighting syntax, and it doesn't look very well, but it's better than nothing. So yeah, I'll be adding more tutorials, as I say. For example, the baseball game. This is also made on Godot. You have the repo here as well. And yeah, that's it. See you on the next video. Bye bye.